Hello, this is me, Max, or the Technomancer, here doing Age of Engineering, and I thought today we'd have a nice, relaxed episode. Normally I'm rushing about, oh, gotta do this, let me craft this and be right back, oh, yes, and somehow in 3 minutes because I want to hit some deadline for what to do by the end of the episode, somehow I'm over here already, and I don't know, crafted a nuclear reactor that runs on potatoes and also makes babies cry in Norway, or something. No, I thought we'd have a nice, more relaxed episode. You know, just let's give it a try. It might be a bit less productive, but, you know, we could have a chat. And I'm going to try and work on getting a squeezer set up for properly automating our fermenter, so that I don't have to keep manually refueling this thing. I've finally emptied the backlog for Age of Engineering videos, so this episode is literally going live like 2 days after it's made. Or just like the day after it's made or something like that, so yeah. Yeah, it's nice. So I thought, you know, we should have a nice chat, and I thought, why not, if we're going to try doing a more relaxed episode, just cuz, how about we have a chat about science? 'Cause, you know, science is fun. And you know what's even more fun than science? Math. See, this is why I have no social life. But, math is fun. And what's really fun is, this is an idea I love toying with. See, the idea is negative mass. So, well, there's nothing that really says, as far as I can tell, there's no rule that really says you can't have a negative mass. It's just that there's no examples of negative mass, but that doesn't mean that there aren't any. There might be some sort of material or some sort of fundamental particle somewhere, I don't know, maybe they'll make it one day, that is negative mass. And you know, that would be awfully fun. And you know why? Because I like playing around with the equations. What happens if I plug in negative mass? And, well, there's a lot of things that are very, very fun that happen and quirky, and possibly quite useful. But there's other things that happen that are like, you'd expect something weird to happen, and it acts slightly different from usual, but almost identical to normal. And it's interesting. Like, if I look at the formula, let me explain. If I look at the equations for kinetic energy, mass is in there, and it basically means that if I have, why am I not getting to, oh. If I have a negative mass, if I have something that has negative mass and it's moving, it'll actually have negative energy. Negative kinetic energy, that is. Also, E equals mc squared, negative mass would be composed of negative energy, aside from the negative kinetic energy if it were moving. Just fun things like that. Now, you can do all these interesting things with negative mass that don't actually violate conservation of energy, believe it or not. For example, well, let me try and give it a good example. Normally, if I have two objects, let's say I have a big ball and a little ball, and they collide, right? Let's say one ball is much bigger than the other ball. One ball is the Earth, and the other is, I don't know, this thing. Okay, let's not demonstrate physics in Minecraft, because that'll end horribly. Trees, if you chop down the bottom bit of a tree, it's supposed to float, right? Because that's what's happening in this game. Yes. I mean, if you have, I'm going to simplify this, of course. So because, you know, sort of a time limit here. If I've got a little ball, like I don't know, a rubber ball, that collides with, let's say, the Earth, and it's like an ideal collision, there's no energy loss. The little ball is going to bounce upwards, slightly slower than it was when it went down, and the Earth is going to bounce back away from the ball at a very, very barely noticeable rate. And this is in accordance with things like conservation of energy and conservation of momentum and all that stuff. And now the trick is, if I have negative mass, well, you know that important Newton's second law, F equals ma, right? That means if you put in negative mass, if you give something a shove with negative mass a shove, it'll come towards you, right? Not quite. If you could apply a positive force, it would come towards you. But the trick here is, even if you have this magic negative mass somehow, you still can't violate conservation of energy or momentum. So you'd find it's actually quite difficult to apply a positive force to a negative mass. Or by giving it a shove. It'll usually end up, the equations work that if I give up something a shove where it would move apply a positive force to a positive mass, it'll apply a negative force to a negative mass, so it'll end up going the same direction anyways. It's sort of all cancels out. However, if I put in a negative mass into my conservation of momentum, in my collision equations, so if I've got, let's say, the big ball, the Earth, and then the little ball has negative mass instead of positive mass. Well, it's going to be the same thing that happens. The big ball is going to recoil a little bit, the Earth, and the little ball is going to bounce up basically the same speed it had before, except instead of the little ball going up slower, it's going to go up faster. Because when it goes faster, normally energy with a positive mass little ball, energy is transferred to the Earth when it knocks it back, so the little ball has to slow down. But when you transfer energy away from a negative mass, an object that has negative energy when it's moving and has more negative energy or less negative energy, you argue over the word choice, the faster it's moving, then when it transfers energy away, it speeds up. Insignificantly, but it does. And I just love the idea of playing with these things. It's sort of ridiculous, but that's not the fun one. The fun one, the really fun one that you can do with negative mass is gravity. Let's use Newton's law of gravity for a moment, right? I'm sure you know it. Well, you probably don't, but you might. The force of gravity is equal to, hold on, sorry, just counting out my tin, is equal to the gravitational constant times, okay, yeah, I have to use the smeltery, is equal to the gravitational constant times the first mass times the second mass divided by the radius between them squared. Simple, basic rule. It's not true, it's actually wrong. Einstein's equations and theories of relativity kind of showed that that equation is wrong, but it's very, very close. That formula is so close. They used it to get that's how they got men to the moon. They used that formula. I mean, they had Einstein's formulas by that point, I think. They had I think, I might have my timelines a little mixed up, but I think that Einstein had come up with his famous formulas which replaced Newton's law of gravitation, but they're so much more complicated, and it's so much harder to do, and Newton's laws are so close to the actual value in almost all cases that for the space program, they literally just use Newton's laws, even though Einstein's are better, just because Newton's laws are much, much, much easier and very, very, very close. So I don't actually know what happens if you plug a negative mass into Einstein's equations, but I do know what happens if you plug it into Newton's. So we're going to pretend, so according to Newton's law of gravitation, if I have an object with negative mass and an object with positive mass, and I put them next to each other, what happens? Well, it's actually really, really interesting and kind of exploity. I mean, what happens is almost like a dupe bug for energy, but you still follow conservation of energy. Well, what's going to happen is, you're going to expect them, when two things of normal mass, they're going to accelerate towards each other, right? Not when one of them is negative mass. If both are negative mass, they'll both accelerate towards each other, I think. Or actually I need to check on that. But if you have they'll accelerate, if you have two objects of negative mass, they'll accelerate away from each other. If you have one object of negative mass and one object of positive mass, this is fun. The negative mass will accelerate towards the positive mass, right? But the positive mass will accelerate away from the negative mass. So they're both going to accelerate in the same direction at the same rate. So they're basically going to chase each other off let's just say these are two balls floating in space. They're both going to fly in space in the same direction, and they're both going to keep accelerating forever. And the positive mass is going to be getting more and more energy. It goes faster and faster, and it's going to end. So it's just going to get more and more energy seemingly from nowhere, right? Like free energy. But the trick here is, you can't violate conservation of energy and yet this follows from Newton's laws. So where is it getting that energy from? Well, as the negative mass is getting faster and faster, its energy becomes more and more negative. So if you sum the negative energy of the negative mass and the positive energy of the positive mass, you get a... I accidentally poured out more of the bronze than I was supposed to. Oops. Well, because I got so worked up talking. You end up with having zero total energy, zero total kinetic energy, but it's still and so one of them gets more and more negative energy, and the other one gets more and more positive energy, and you could harness the energy of the positive mass. I have no idea how you would... I don't think it's possible to harness the energy of the negative mass, though, because it's negative energy. If you could use that to drive a steam engine, you'd turn negative energy into positive energy. You can't do that. That violates conservation of energy, right? I don't think there is a way to do that. You'd always have the exact opposite result of what you need to get more energy in an object. So, I mean, if you could magically have a ball of negative mass of substantial enough size, and if I were to, let's see, the rates at which the two balls accelerate is going to depend on their relative mass. If one is much bigger than the other, it's going to accelerate at a different rate, and they'll actually collide eventually, or get far enough apart that they'll never stop chasing each other. So if you could have a ball of negative mass of a large enough size, you could, and you were to have very careful control over this, and I don't know, a big enough empty space or a clever enough design, you could basically get an infinite generator. I mean, to have any substantial amount of power gen, you'd need I don't know, a ball of negative mass the size of Pluto, unless it's incredibly dense, but still, it's fun. It's theoretics. It's all theoretical, but it's fun. And that's something I love about physics. You can do weird things, like that is tin. You can plug in negative masses into the equations and see, what does this break? Actually, okay, apparently that's not how you make gears. How do you make gears? Oh, right. Yeah. So I just thought, you know, that's a fun thing. How about I try doing something odd, unusual this episode and talk about something interesting or fun? Because I can. And if you were not able to follow that at all, well, too bad for you. You don't get to know the wonders of... Okay, how do I make this? See, this is the problem here. I'm talking instead of paying attention. So it's quite possible I'm going to start setting fire to my own pants or something in this game, because I am not paying attention in the slightest. Okay, what? Okay, I'm gonna start paying attention. Does that sound like a good idea? Paying attention? I think I'm gonna... Let's stop the physics talk so I can manage to make something this episode. It doesn't even have to work, just make something. Right? So it's not just Max gives a lecture on theoretical physics for 25 minutes and walks into a wall several times. Although, I mean, that could be popular. We never, you know, I mean... Maybe we should try some focus. We should try some. Maybe I should get a pollster. You know, do some testing groups to get some opinion testing on this. Do people want to see Max talk about theoretical physics in a theory? I mean, in a type of theoretical physics no one cares about because no one really thinks it's actually possible or feasible for like 25 minutes. I mean, but it's fun. It's fun to think about. Maybe not to you, but it is to me. Do all sorts of things with negative mass in the equations. Okay, there we go. Let's see if I can finally manage to make a squeezer today. I don't know. Will we manage, or will something go wrong again? Stay tuned. Next episode. No, not next. We'll find out. Look at these pretty lasers. Aren't they pretty lasers? They are. Those are some pretty lasers. They're really red. Oh, and sparkles. Sparkles as well. My sturdy casings are made of lasers and sparkles. I feel like we need to hire a better... I mean, someone came up with the idea, you know, how would you make the sturdiest casing available, the most heavy-duty, How about you take some random bits of bronze in random shapes, blast it with some red lasers, some orangey, yellowy lasers, and make some sparkles. We need to fire that manufacturing engineer, that processing engineer, and get a better one who doesn't come up with lasers that drain all of our energy supplies. You know, just a thought. Just maybe. Just could be something of an improvement, I'm thinking. I don't know, just an idea I'm working on. How are we doing getting fluids? Right, we're doing this. Let's just try... Sorry, my throat's... who's clearing my throat? Could I pick up my pump? There we go, I got my pump. My inventory is full. This is fine. Let me just get rid of some things. Actually, I need both of those things. Okay, those were the wrong things to get rid of. Probably you I could get rid of, and probably you, and probably you, and probably all of you. Yay! I don't know either. If I were sane, would I have a YouTube channel? Trick question. No. Wait, how is that a trick question? It's a yes or no question. It's not... It's not a trick question. What am I talking about? Yeah, I'm insane. I'm insane. Yep, definitely. That's the only explanation left at this point. So what I'm going to do is we're going to use a squeezer because, you know, honestly, using water for this fermenter and fertilizer is kind of inefficient. We're going to use some fruit juice, I'm thinking. Fruit juice and mulch. And we can get both of those things from everyone's favorite fruit for chasing away doctors, our lovely friend, or depending on how you feel about him, we're arch nemesis, apples. I mean, there's other sources. You could use plums, or chestnuts, or papayas. Papayas work pretty well, although they're pretty bad for getting mulch, actually. So maybe not papayas. I mean, not dates either. Wow, those are... I'm curious now. Which one would be best? I mean, plums get you a lot of mulch. Are they mulch? Are plums particularly mulchy? I don't think of plums as a mulchy fruit. Maybe they are. I don't know. I guess papayas would be pretty good, just because they get you so much fruit juice. I mean, but that requires tree breeding, and honestly... I mean, papayas aren't too far down the line, but still, tree breeding, it's like, pardon my language, but it's like that, I mean, let's start with pardon my pronunciation, but it's like Mendeleev, blah, blah, blah. You know, I'm just not even going to attempt that name. I cannot pronounce that name. Look, we're going to squeeze some apples and get some juice and mulch out of them, okay? And then we're going to stick the mulch in our garden, and we're going to use it in our garden. And no, we're not. We're going to use it to make biogas. I hate mulch, by the way. If you've ever wondered, if you've ever lied awake at night wondering, what's Max's opinion on mulch? I hate mulch. Just for the very simple reason. Like, a lot of, like, playgrounds have mulch on the ground. The idea, I guess, being that, I don't know, it's like safe to fall on or something. Like, instead of grass or asphalt or concrete, they just have mulch. And it's terrible. No, it's like you get splinters on your splinters when you fall down. I'd rather just take the concrete. I mean... I'd rather break a bone than get all those splinters. It's terrible. Mulch is an abomination. But we're using it anyways. So, you win this one, mulch. You win this one. Curse you, mulch. One of these days, I'll best ya. I forgot how bad these pipes were. Right, this isn't actually connecting. Because these pipes are utter garbage. Yes, you gotta remember these important details, like how utter garbage these pipes are. They're rubbish. Really? Okay, let me make some proper fluid transports. Alright, so I've got some nice, whatchamacallit, integrated dynamics stuff. Sorry for a moment. Sorry, never mind. So we're going to need to take from the squeezer both fluid and items, the items being mulch and the fluid being fruit juice, and both need to go into this fermenter, and sadly we need to use 2 sides for that. So let's just arbitrarily do fluids in the bottom, and eventually I'm going to probably have 3 fermenters, and we're going to put the fluid importer here. It's not running yet because I haven't hooked this up to the system with the power. Here we're going to have the item interface here and the item exporter here. Let's connect these up. This should be. Why is it not? Oh, it's inactive because it hasn't got anything to do. That would make sense. Yes. Let's see. Boolean. So I just need a Boolean for that. Sorry, it's been a bit of time since I've looked at this. A Boolean for that, and I'm gonna need an item for that. Okay, fair enough. I left my Boolean cards, my variable cards over here. True. There, and then I need an item, and I need mulch. Although, I am eventually going to be importing as well saplings into these things. Or exporting, I guess, relatively speaking. So, item list. Although for now we haven't actually got saplings in our little network yet. Or do we? Do we have saplings? No, we don't. I need to I'll add saplings. And I'll tell this thing I should not be typing. Let me get a piece of mulch. Hold on. Just want one. Just one. Can't put it back. Nope. Oh well. Well, there goes our ability to test the mulch because it's now not in there. Aw. I'm sad. We're gonna go item mulch, and then plus, and then we're gonna have saplings, and then we're just gonna have a variable card. And then I'm going to throw this piece on the mulch to the ground like I don't even care. Like it can go sit, no, I don't know. Okay, so any mulch, which we don't have any of, should go into the slot were it not full. And over here, we're just going to say export, or import rather, all your fruit juice. Oh, isn't it lovely, filling up with fruit juice. Now, I'm gonna let it run through the... Do I need this fertilizer for anything? I don't feel like I need this fertilizer for anything. I probably don't really need this fertilizer for anything else. Actually, I mean, I can make tons of it. And also, am I gonna need this anytime soon? Like, it's environmental controllers and that such thing. Also, wait a second. Can I not crop this back into the... Yeah, you know, stuff. It's stuff I mean, I don't really use actually additions very much, so probably not going to need for that. I mean, I guess it's good as fertilizer, so I'm just going to take it and use it as fertilizer, I suppose. Now, this is set to import saplings, but there aren't really any hooked up to the network, so I'm just going to add a supply of saplings to this network. Also, I feel like there's something in here that we really don't need as part of this system. I can't imagine what it would be. Also, I thought I had rotten flesh hooked up to trash can. Oh, I can't just look through the list easily. Which of these things do I not have very many of? Ooh, yeah, that. That's a bit silly to have be part of that, honestly. So we've processed through all yours as well. Where is my key? Where is my key? That is the word that I'm looking for. There is my key. Take out the gas tiers. we're just gonna have saplings. Now I know this is sort of a mob drop section, but I did not lock that before it nicked all my saplings for this, didn't it? Yes, it did, you annoying thing. Okay, let me just, maybe if I'm fast, I'll be able to, what? Also, I just remembered you can lock it first and then put the saplings in. Ah, clever. Da-da-da-da. You still have saplings. I'm angry. I'm just annoyed. There. So now any saplings that are in the system will go into there. Also, I just realized I haven't actually hooked up something to import apples into this. I should probably do that. And that would not be hard either. I just need... That's an okay, I need to craft an output variable transformer. And I'm going to need to add something that holds that lovely thing known as apples. Why do I have canola seeds again? Was I thinking about doing canola oil at some point? Because I really hate the canola oil thing. I just don't think it's very good. I don't know why, I just dislike it. Oh, it's that way. Okay, let me just, I mean, right for now, we haven't actually got those over there connected, these chests, this chest, hooked up to our applied, whatchamacallit, our, something integrated dynamic system. So we sort of have to we'll have to manually move over apples and saplings, but at some point I'll hook that up, and I'll also, probably off camera, add some upgrades to this thing so it grows more than, what is it, 2 saplings at a time? Yeah, that's really not sufficient. 2 saplings at a time. That is not good enough. At all. So let me just, you know what, you've seen me hook up the apples. Hook up the, how I hook up the saplings. I'm just gonna hook an apple import around into the back of this thing. So that's pretty easy. I'll do it off camera. Bye. I'm just gonna leave this there. Bye.